When I was a 21-year-old, this just takes me back to, my graduation ceremony. I was in Philadelphia, and, Denzel Washington came in for the commencement speech, and
Wow.
he basically said that, fall forward, so he basically said that when you fall forward, at least you can see what's coming at you. But when you fall backward and you fail with a backup plan, it's very different. So I've moved forward with that intent.
That thing, that fall forward, like how have you used that right now in your life? Like, have you used it in your businesses and told it to other businesses?
We basically, took on, different types of clients across different types of services. And oftentimes I got to sit in rooms where maybe I was not the most experienced person in the room.
What do you know now that you wish you'd known at the start?
That's a very interesting question. I would say that now I know that every business requires constant innovation, we have to always keep sharpening our knives. And something that I've learned along the way is we need to keep reinvesting into our businesses. And this is something that probably, I thought that starting a new business was an amazing thing.
Mm-hmm.
But along the way, I realized that, you have to keep on building, and that is where the growth comes, and that is where the business is not dependent on, let's say, the founder, and you build a team that goes along with you.
Amazing. So kids, make sure you do your homework. Welcome back to the Corporate Connections UAE podcast. I'm Nadia, your host, and this is the show where we sit down with the brilliant minds inside our community. Today, I'm joined by someone who works behind the scenes of the biggest business moves that's happening in the region. Merger and acquisitions, market entries, and valuations. The person businesses call when they need to make the most important decisions. Let me welcome Ranganathan. Hello, Rangan. How are you?
Hi, Nadia. It's great to be here. I'm doing excellent.
Great. So I would like you to tell all of our viewers today a little bit about yourself and what your business is actually about.
So, my name is Ranganathan. My friends call me Ranga, and I'm a partner at a professional services group. We are known as Ethics Plus, and essentially we have two different firms. One is an audit, accounting, and tax advisory services business, and the second one is a boutique advisory firm that focuses on transaction advisory and market entry services.
And you work on both of them, do you, Ranga?
Yes, I specialize on the advisory business, which I founded back in 2017, where we focus on deals, M&A, valuations, and similar services. Our audit firm was founded by my father when he moved to Dubai in the 1990s. And the idea was to build on his legacy. And he continues to run the business as managing partner. And it's been a very interesting journey.
So I feel like today we're going to find out a lot about numbers and what you actually need to know in your businesses, right? Because let's face it, numbers are everything when you're doing your business to scale. So the one thing that I've been asking all of my members before we get into the nitty-gritty stuff of what we really want to hear about how we sell the business or what we do when we want to sell the business, then what's one belief that changed everything for you?
I think for me, when I was a 21-year-old, this just takes me back to, my graduation ceremony. I was in Philadelphia, and, Denzel Washington came in for the commencement speech, and
Wow.
he basically said that, fall forward. So he basically said that when you fall forward, at least you can see what's coming at you. But when you fall backward and you fail with a backup plan, it's very different. So I've moved forward with that intent, with that risk appetite, with that, so I've learned that success comes with intent and effort and a little bit of grace. That's where success comes.
Yeah, and I love that thing, that fall forward. Like, how have you used that right now in your life? Like, have you used it in your businesses and told it to other businesses?
Yeah, so I think when we started Ethics Plus Consulting as an advisory business, we basically, took on, different types of clients across different types of services. And oftentimes I got to sit in rooms where maybe I was not the most experienced person in the room. But I think it's that ability to understand the room, read the situation, go in with homework prepared, go in with a lot of preparation that has sort of brought me the right outcomes.
Amazing. So, kids, make sure you do your homework. Okay, my second question is, what do you know now that you wish you'd known at the start?
Yeah, so I think that's a very interesting question. I would say that now I know that every business requires constant innovation, I mean, we have to always keep sharpening our knives. Uh, and something that I've learned along the way is we need to keep reinvesting into our businesses. And this is something that probably, I thought that starting a new business was an amazing thing. But along the way, I realized that, you have to keep on building, and that is where the growth comes, and that is where the business is not dependent on, let's say, the founder, and you build a team that goes along with you.
And is there anything that you can give to the listeners out there today of how you've done that in your company?
Yeah, so I think something that we've been doing, especially in the last few years, is we've been focusing on our processes across different departments. We brought a lot of software that's been helping us, and off late, like this year we've been bringing in AI in order to streamline the kind of work that we do, and to sort of automate all the heavy lifting and the grunt work, so that our consultants can then focus on where the most thought process is needed.
And I know that AI is very, very big at the moment, and we're all getting used to this AI technology. So it brings me to the question: do you think that AI is gonna take over a lot of the financial side of things, or what can you see there for the future?
So I see that there is a lot of change happening, and I would advise every finance professional to continue upskilling themselves. Right? I mean, don't say that this is a technology that I don't care about. Go in, immerse yourself, and continue to adapt. But I would always say that human judgment is very much an important part of finance, deals, transactions, the kind of work that we do. I don't think AI is going to take over anytime soon. But somebody who's not going to use AI, I think is going to miss the boat.
Yeah, you've got to jump on the bus now, haven't you, for that? Like, I really do think that, like, if you're not learning or even using AI right now, it's not too late, but you need to start doing it. And especially when you're working in such an area of work that's scaling up so much with AI as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think today, as consultants, clients come to us because we are maybe a little bit faster, a little bit sharper. So somebody who is in that line of work has to use AI. Like, we've seen the larger firms already do it in a big way. Like PwC is signed up with large AI contracts. You got a lot of the big four companies who signed up with OpenAI and the large AI businesses. So I think this is a trend in the industry, and it's here to continue.
Yeah, I think it's definitely here to continue. I'm excited for what's to come of AI, not just in business as well, but like I feel like it is taking over personally as well. Do you find that as well? Like you're starting to use it more in your personal life as well?
Yeah, so I mean, I like to limit my personal use of AI. So I prefer calling up, picking up the phone and calling my friends. Like that's my thing. But there's of course a little bit of AI that comes into everybody's lives. But I'm a big fan of AI in business. Maybe more than personal.
Oh, okay, that's great because that means that like you can switch off when you go home then, and all devices are off.
Yeah,
That's the
I'm
hardest thing right now. People are finding.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to keep my phones away like post 10 p.m. I'm very non-responsive. Or the time in the evening when I'm with my kids, I keep phones away. I'm fairly non-responsive early in the mornings. So these are all sacred to me, and I keep away phones, AI devices, and all those distractions.
Yeah, so technology is away while you focus on what's important, right? And I think that's the way it should be. I think, with this day and age, especially kids, they're getting used to it so much that they're on it continuously, and then they don't know how to communicate, I guess, with other kids or even adults. So it's looking at it in a different view of what is AI doing to us in a good way, and what is AI doing to us in a bad way as well. Like I think there's no in between right now. I think we're either going one way or the other, but hopefully we find that in between part where like it's working for everything that we need to work for, and we can also step away from it as well because we're relying a lot on it even now.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm like, if you're going to use AI for like let's say every small thing, like okay, what shirt color am I going to wear tomorrow? If I'm going to ask that to AI, where am I going to think, right? I mean, you've been given God's given you a wonderful sized brain, and the human brain has enormous capability. So I feel that there has to be a balancing effect. If people start going on all these AIs, spend hours and hours on these, I think there has to be balancing.
There has, but I feel like there is an addiction there as well when it comes to AI. Okay, so you sit across the table from business owners at some point of the most crucial moments when they're thinking about selling, buying, valuing their businesses, or realizing that they're in trouble. So my question here is, what's the thing you see most of that business owners get very wrong about their own companies?
That's a good one. I think business owners, when they're thinking about an exit or a sale, I feel they get started very late into the process, very late into the thought process, and by the time they come to an advisor like us, and they want to sell in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, and we're seeing, for example, we're seeing a business that's so heavily owner dependent that in such a situation, if you approach a buyer, the buyer is going to penalize you and give you a very much lower number. And what happens here is that these companies end up losing a lot of potential value, and they leave money on the table, as they make their exits. On the other hand, we also see companies where advisors do not advise them right, so they wait for years and years saying that, okay, I'll get that amazing value, 15 times my EBITDA. I'm going to get it. I'm a high growth business. That amazing strategic buyer is going to come and do it. And they're already 60 plus, and they're struggling. So I think it has to be a balancing act. Uh, so talk to get different perspectives, but then rely on somebody that you can trust.
Yeah, and it's hard to find that person that you can trust and that's going to make the best deal and give you the best advice when you're in that situation, because selling a business is quite stressful in itself, and people know you're under stress, right? So that's where, as you said, there's money left on the table, because the buyer is going to try and push it as much as he can, right? So when it comes to that, is there an amount, like a number, at a point where you're like, okay, this is when you need to sell? Like, should I be having my company and let's say the mark is 2 billion? Is that the mark where I should sell, or what is it? When do I know when to sell?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. See, I would say that there is no one magic number. Like each company has a different trajectory, a different path. They have their own, let's say, position or standing in their industry. And every founder or business owner's uh, mindset and journey can be very different. So for somebody selling at, let's say, a $10 million mark is amazing. Whereas for another business owner, he would not rest till he takes that business to $20 million. So, so I would say there's no right and wrong, but I would say that the best time to consider an exit is when you're doing well, and when you can showcase to a potential buyer that there is some growth left in the business. When there is something in it for the buyer as well. Like, don't wait for an industry to sort of start declining and then think that somebody will magically take over your business and pay you a handsome amount.
And when do you actually find that people contact you? At what point? Are they actually at the highest, or are they just dipping a little bit? Like, what point do they actually come to you?
So people come to us at different stages. I would say our best clients come to us relatively early in their thought process, when they know that, let's say, they want to exit over the next 2 to 3 years. That would be an ideal time to start conversations with an advisor.
Amazing. So that means that, like, if you're thinking about, exiting, you need at least like 3 to 4 years before you actually exit itself. Is that right?
You need to at least start thinking about how your company is structured, whether you're positioned for an exit, whether your financials are in order, is your team structure in order. So I would say you need to start thinking about all of these things. But a very, very well structured operating business can get sold in about, you need about a year's time,
Okay.
to make a transaction happen. If everything is already in place.
Yeah. And when you go into these companies, do you physically go into these companies, or is most of the stuff that you do online? Like, how does it work from your side?
So for us, a face-to-face meeting with the business owner is a great first step. Like because for us, we need to gauge, because it's a long-term relationship. Like working with, let's say, a client on the sell side. So we are going to invest a lot into that relationship with him, and we typically get rewarded when our biggest reward comes when the transaction happens. So we want to ensure that the clients we work with are high quality. They're offering a unique service or product that has some unique value in the marketplace. They have the right integrity. They have the right mindset. They're not trying to take a shortcut somewhere, and they come through the right channels, and we build that relationship over a period of time.
And so the type of clientele that you have done before, I've got it here. So it's healthcare groups, to even different beauty brands, to PE transactions, all across the GCC and India. So when it comes to that, what's one thing that separates a business that's scalable and sellable from one that's just stuck?
Yeah. So just to add to that, I think we've been working with clients primarily in the UAE,
Yeah.
but also across the GCC. So we have, we've done a lot of work in healthcare, which has been one of our favorite industries. But we're quite industry agnostic. We've worked with many other industries, and what we see is that those scalable companies are those that have built an operating model that can survive even if the founder is not hands-on, uh, working 10 hours every day, signing every check, every approval. So they've built systems in their business, and those systems allow them to scale. So they've built teams and they've built systems. I think those are the companies that we love to work with.
Okay, so building teams and building systems within the team, of course, that's where it's at the selling point where you're like, okay, someone's going to want to buy this because the system works, right? I always think about this, and I watched, I don't know if you've ever watched the film of like how McDonald's was made. and it was talking about how they did all the franchise. And I always find it fascinating because it's a system, right? So you just copy and paste that system to whichever franchise, and that's how they can sell it.
Yeah.
So it always reminds me of that. Like if you're building a business to sell eventually, what is your system? So I'm guessing that's where they
Yeah,
got those
and
from, right?
yeah, absolutely. And that's what has enabled companies like McDonald's, Starbucks, Subway, all of these brands to scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, I have friends who just, let's say, owned Subway brands and have made millions because, it's a phenomenal system driven business.
Mm-hmm.
So you could sort of, be in any industry and you could build the right systems that allow you to scale up.
Yeah. And that's how I think. And I think if you've got a business and there's no system there, or maybe there's a system but it's lacking continuous or something else, some spice in that system, then I think there's definitely the time to improve on that before you get to the point where you're wanting to sell, right?
Yeah, and I think, along the way, every business owner has, needs to have some fun along the way. They need to, motivate their team, celebrate the little wins. And, I think that's where the team spirit and the motivation really comes in.
And when I was looking into you, so I did actually look into you. There's quite a few healthcare groups that you've worked with, and one of them actually surprised me. It was a brand. I think it was an eyelash brand that was owned by one of the groups.
So that was in the beauty industry.
Yeah.
And it was an eyelash brand where Shalhoub Group was one of the shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very interesting transaction because we had two different individuals who were co-owners, and then you had a corporate. So in a transaction like that, you have very different dynamics. The individuals move very quickly. The corporate typically takes some time because they have to go through their entire approval process flow to get things moving.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very interesting transaction, and the group and the buyer was like a group of individuals who wanted to enter the industry for the first time. So they wanted to move very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So managing all these stakeholders was very interesting.
And I guess it takes your system is you and your team, right? It's not just you when it comes to this deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for us, what we realized over many years is that we run a very tight process, and it's that process that gives us success eventually. So we know that okay, there will be certain transactions which are not good, which may or may not happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if we keep running the same process, we repeat the right things, the right steps, and work with the right clients, the success eventually comes.
Okay, what's the biggest gap between what a business owner thinks the company is worth and what the market actually says? Because I remember I had a company, and when I had my company many years ago, I thought it was worth a lot more than it actually was worth on the market. So tell me, what is it?
No, I think this is something that we work with day in and day out. The beautiful gap between what the seller wants to expect and what the market is willing to give. I think it comes down to how well the seller is educated and whom the seller chooses to trust.
Mm-hmm.
So is he going to rely on an AI telling him that similar businesses in the US have given certain kinds. I mean, he's got multiples of 10 times. Similar businesses have done that in the US. Is he going to rely on that, or is he going to look at what an advisor is going to tell him about how it's going to look like in the UAE and how the market dynamics are different? So, for example, we worked with a company that was in the home healthcare space, and there were very limited transactions around the UAE market to compare. So they looked at comparables from the US, and they thought that that would apply to them. But the market dynamics here in the UAE are very different, And when we spoke to multiple buyers, they were comparing those transactions to something very different. So I think the how well the seller is educated is one part of it. And the other part of it is how sane are the numbers, because when you come out with your numbers, there's revenue, you have top line, and eventually you have bottom line. There's a lot that can happen midway, which can change the numbers. So we like to spend a lot of time with our clients on the numbers, make sure that they're fact checked, they're sanity checked, and the actual EBITDA which comes out is normalized and does not have extraordinary items or let's say one-off events, and that's where working with a financial advisor adds value.
Yeah, and I guess as well as the passion, right? I think it's worth more than you because you know the numbers, but I just have the passion for it, and it took me so long to build it.
Yeah. I mean, because these business owners have really put in their they've toiled hard to get to where they are. So they're always going to value their business very high, as they probably should. But when it comes to the actual deal, one has to do a lot of introspection and actual research and understand what's happening in the market.
And going back to the point of people look on AI, don't they? They ask ChatGPT and say, how much do you think my company's worth? And at that point, ChatGPT never says no to you. So it will always give you a great number. And then you try and put it on the market for that price, and everyone's like, you're crazy. And I see it as well because I see it when a lot of people are building businesses, and it's like, you put, I'm going to build this business. And then you say, how much do you think it would be worth? And they're like, in America, one sold for this much. But we're in the UAE. Could we actually sell that company for that much? So we've got to watch how AI is actually programming us to think things that actually aren't real.
Yeah, AI typically will spill out things based on the input you give it, right? So, for example, I've asked AI, for a specific service, what kind of fee should I charge the client, right? And I've seen occasions where AI gave me fees which are like 5 times what I actually charge my clients.
Wow.
So you have to sort of take things with a pinch of salt, and as ChatGPT says, AI can make mistakes. So they've said it.
Yeah, they have. So if a founder is thinking about selling or raising capital, how early should they actually start talking to someone like you?
So I would advise business owners that want to exit or bring in a strategic investor or a partner. I would advise them to approach a good financial advisor about a year before when they want to achieve those milestones. And if the company is in certain industries which requires a lot of preparation, maybe even 2 years. So I would say that 1 to 2 years ahead of time would be amazing. Not to say that it cannot happen in 6 months time. In some cases it can.
Yeah, and of course we go back to the system. Have you got a system? Is your team working with the system and all of that, right? So that's why you will go in and just double check all of this. So the longer that you have to work with that, I guess the more you might be able to sell the company at that point as well.
Yeah. So if it's a business that's running on autopilot, they've got amazing systems in place, the ERP flows smoothly, their compliances are in order, their financials are all audited up to the mark. I asked them on the 5th of the month, can I get financials till the previous month? They gave it to me on day 6. Then fantastic. So we'd be able to start the process and go a lot quicker. But even the process of going to the market, because so when we do a process, we are very discreet because running a transaction requires keeping things very discreet. We don't want the stakeholders of the business, let's say the employees, the different stakeholders, to feel that there's something going on. So running a very discreet process, and approaching the market, and then finding out, getting the right bids from prospective buyers is basically a process, and ideally 8 to 10 months would be a great timeline for that.
8 to 10 months. Okay. So 8 to 10 months, that's when we should speak to you. And then we can get in the process of actually selling the business that we want to sell. What's the most boring thing about business that actually makes millions that founders completely overlook? Now, this is like $1 million question.
So I think I really like this question because when I was trying to, I mean, having worked with so many different clients, I found something that keeps coming up again. That buyers really like recurring revenue. So they like to see revenue which is coming in month after month, year after year. So you have repeat clients, you have clients who are calling you back for projects, or you have contracts which are, let's say, going on for 3 years, 5 years, and not for 6 months, right? So when I looked at my own business, I saw that I really like, for example, the accounting side of our business, where we work with a lot of startups, where we are providing them accounts outsourcing, tax compliance, month on month, year on year. So that sounds boring, but that's a part of the business that if one can scale up, actually has a lot of value.
Yeah, and the recurring clients are the main thing, right? Because if they keep coming back to you, it means that you're doing a good job.
Yeah, and a prospective investor coming in has the visibility for, let's say, the next few years, right? He knows that these clients are already here, and if he could add more, that's going to sweeten the whole pot for him.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got a fire round, okay, and I wanted to try this out because I thought it'd be great to find out a few things that we need to know if we're about to sell a company or we've got challenges within our company financially. So my first one is spreadsheets or gut feeling. Which one wins the deal?
I'd say gut feeling wins the deal, but only if backed by a spreadsheet.
I always go by gut feeling. But I mean, spreadsheets for me, it's a good job we've got AI now.
I mean, we love spreadsheets, right? So we always want to have a spreadsheet at the at least inside our briefcase. So if the in a board meeting, if the investor says like, where the hell is this number coming from? We can pull out that paper and give it to him.
Mm-hmm, yeah. He likes a spreadsheet. I'm the gut feeling. Perfect. Okay, so what's the one thing business owners never want to hear from you but always need to?
I think it's going back to what we spoke about. The business owners need to hear from us again and again that their business is worth what the market is willing to pay, not what's in their head.
Yeah. How many times? Let's see. How many times in your business career have you got a business that's been correct? So it's been right on how much the business has been worth.
Very, very, very few times.
How many times have they been lower than the benchmark?
Very, very few times, but it's happened.
So everyone always goes over. I mean, God loves a trier. That's all I can say. If you could only give a business one number to obsess over, what would that number be?
So from the world that we come in, that would be your EBITDA, which is your earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation. But that number is what gives the growth story. But I would do the fact checks always with the cash position numbers.
So the cash numbers is what number we need to look for, really, right?
Yeah, that's the magic numbers.
I mean, cash is king.
Absolutely.
It's still king, even now.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was great to have you on the show. I've got one more question, which I would like you to leave our listeners with, which is one piece of advice you would give to anyone building their empire.
Empire, wow, okay.
They're building a big business that you're about to sell.
Yeah, so I think maybe on the way to that, as they're building, I would advise them that, consider growing through acquisition, right? So So you could enter certain markets, certain types of businesses by acquiring a running business rather than starting from scratch. And the way I would think about acquisitions is like, don't just acquire for the sake of adding revenue and making your financials look big. Try to see what capabilities will that acquisition bring you, right? Like, so you might be wanting to acquire a company because maybe it's got a unique technology, maybe it's got a specialized team, or maybe you can that'll enable you to enter a certain geography or a certain market. So that's how I would think about it. One more thing that I would tell business owners is, don't skimp on compliance. Uh, Taxes have to be paid, and there's a lot of paperwork that goes in. Like, for example, we were recently talking to a client, which is a family foundation, and they recently sold a very large property, right? So and suddenly we get to know from them that they have not applied for the right corporate tax exemption, which means that they missed the opportunity to get the 0% tax on it. And while their intent was to do it, the paperwork didn't follow through, right? So I would say focus on compliance as well as you continue to scale.
Yeah, it's great advice. And can we just go over, because I know that there's a lot of different assets to your business. Can you just tell us every single bit of the things that you do in your business in Dubai so that listeners can find out a bit more about you?
Right. So as I said, so Ethics Plus is a group of companies where our key services are the following, right? So on the advisory side, we have mergers and acquisitions, where we work with clients on the sell side. We also work with clients on the buy side who want to acquire or invest into a business. We work on services like business valuation or financial due diligence or purchase price allocation. These are all one-off engagements. Another service that we work on is market entry. So we help companies coming into the GCC to evaluate the opportunity here, and whether it fits what they're looking for. On the audit side of the business, the services include audit and assurance, which includes statutory audits, internal audits. We have a team that does a lot of accounts outsourcing for small businesses. And we have a very focused team that does a lot of compliance work, especially tax advisory, e-invoicing advisory, and related areas. So I think that's a little bit, that's us in a nutshell.
So, of course, anything to do with numbers, anything to do with finance, Ethics Plus is where we can find you. And of course, like, there's always people that want to sell their company, and it's a peak season now for me personally that I'm seeing that a lot of people are selling because AI is coming in. And of course, like, they're at the peak of the companies right now. And okay, of course, they have to like switch into this AI role. So yeah, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nadia, for having me. And I think this is a great initiative that Corporate Connections has taken up. And it's always a pleasure to be a part of this vibrant community.
And we love having you part of this community. And if you do want to find out about our Corporate Connections community and join our members in growing their business, scaling their business, check out the link below. And I'll see you on the next podcast. Thank you very much.